Oh. Hi everybody, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I got a couple calls yesterday and I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Maybe I should stop talking about it after the truck stops backing up outside. So I got a few calls yesterday, and one in particular, and I get these calls all the time, by the way. I want to mention that. Gentleman called me up and he wanted to talk about going on this cruise and asked me if I could be their agent, and I really appreciate thinking of me in any way for that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, it was with a cruise line that I don't really deal with, and I'm not a real expert on that particular cruise line. So I actually recommended to him another travel agent that would be much more versed with that cruise line than myself. I'd rather see them get treated properly than me guessing, is kind of the way I look at it. But I still appreciate the offer. But we started talking, and he mentioned a particular scenario, a couple of them actually. One of them was that he's a cancer survivor as well, for over 5 years now, I think, or longer. And he mentioned that he saw my airport video. And if you don't know what that is, that's a video where I kind of opened up for the very first time on my cruising channel about my illness and how thankful and some of the rough times that I was going through and things like that. I was literally overnight in an airport, almost like nobody in the entire airport except myself and maybe 4 other people in this huge airport, because my flight arrived at night and my next flight wasn't until the morning. I wasn't going to book a hotel for 6 hours. So I started talking and I just went over some of the things that I had gone through. And the gentleman mentioned that how a lot of that brought back a lot of memories for him, a lot of good memories of feeling low, but then something happened to, reaffirm himself and give more, here we go, fighting back, I'm not going to give up and all that. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate when people call or email me with their stories. And I have like a folder that's like like that long, that has all these different stories of people who've been success stories, and a few stories that people haven't had success in fighting something that they're going through. And so it just goes to show that you have to take the good with the bad, right? There's always, nothing works 100% either way. But if you don't try, you'll never know. And that's always been kind of my motto. Why give up? I am definitely not a person to give up. I will fight tooth and nail for a lot of things. You can ask my nephews and my sister about that. I just, no. And one of the things you never want to do is challenge me where there's a reward. Yeah, because I will win that. If it's in my control, I will win that challenge every time. It doesn't matter what it is. An example. One year, my nephew goes to me and he says, "You're addicted to Diet Coke." I said, "No, I'm not. I can quit anytime I want. I just like Diet Coke. That's what I drink." And he says, "No, you can't do it." He says, "I'll bet you $100 you can't go a year without drinking Diet Coke." And I said, well, what am I allowed to drink? He said, you can drink any other diet pop. I said, can I drink root beer? He said, yes. I said, can I drink 7-Up? He said, yes. You just can't drink Diet Coke because that's what you're addicted to. And a year later, he owed me $100. Instantly that day, I quit Diet Coke for a year to win a measly $100. So yeah, and a lot of people out there say, well, you're addicted to Diet Dr. Pepper. No, I like Diet Dr. Pepper, and I can give up Diet Dr. Pepper if the money's right. So yeah, I'm a very competitive person that way. But you know what? It served me right in my life. I'll start the most mundane, boring job in the world, sitting there in front of a machine, putting 2 connectors together, going to the next connector, put 2 more together, going to that. Like there's 100 different connectors you got to slowly put together, and you got to twist it around the wires and all that stuff. Boring job. And I went in there with the mindset of, well, if I got to do this boring job, I'm going to be the best at doing this boring job. And so it was my goal to finish that unit faster than anybody else in that department, even though that department's been running for 5 years. And within a month, I was doing it. I was way ahead of everybody else in the department, just because of my competitive nature. It's just something I always want to do. But I'm not competitive to the point where I'm going to cheat to do something. And when somebody beats me, I will congratulate them to no end, because they absolutely deserve to beat me. And good job on them. I'm not that person. I'm not that guy who won't shake hands at the end of a hockey game or a tennis match because I don't like the guy. No. I'm just competitive. And if I get beat, I get beat. I've gotten beat lots of times in my life. Lots of times. More times than I've won. But yeah, it served me well. But I appreciate these calls. And he also tacked on a little one on the end where he was talking about he's normally with other cruise lines like Carnival or Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, one of those ships that deal with the average age is between 40 and 50, a lot of the young stuff, a lot of big stuff to do on those cruise ships. Like, you can go surf simulating, there's water slides all over the place and things like that. But he wanted to take his 80-year-old mother to Alaska. And he says, I saw your video on Holland America. And the caption was like, is Holland America right for you? And he says, I watched it, and he says, I realized watching that video that I was getting a cruise for my 80-year-old parents, but I was thinking like myself and what I would like on that cruise, not what they would like. And so they ended up booking a Holland America cruise because it's set, for the more seasoned cruiser, the older generation. It's more than, an 80-year-old is not going to go on a surf simulator. They're not going to go skydiving. And he says, I brought them on that Alaska cruise and they had an amazing time. And that meant the world to me, that a video that I put out turned possibly a okay vacation, because there's nothing wrong with those cruise lines. It's just not kind of geared towards an 80-year-old, to what they called an amazing vacation for his parents, that he wanted to thank her, for raising him and being there all the time and supporting him through his life. He wanted to do something nice for his parents, especially his mother, who really wanted to go to Alaska. And so that meant a lot. That meant a lot to me, that just a little video I put out actually changed somebody. Just a vacation possibly made it better. That was amazing. And, also mentioning that when I talked about the stuff I go through and I've gone through, and just, trying to keep that positive attitude out there, that made a difference as well. it's kind of the reason you do these things. It's something that it's not tangible. It's not, here's money, here's fame, here's recognition. It's none of that. It's that. It's making a difference, no matter how small, in anybody's life. If you can make any kind of little helpful improvement, doesn't matter how much. And that means, amazing. Because it brings me back to that airport video where I actually talked about this being, a changing point in my life, and because of people on the YouTube channel who cheered me on and things like that, that made the difference in my life. And so if I can pay that back and pay that forward, that's the reason for doing anything like this. Absolutely anything like this. So yeah, just goes to show, you never know how you influence other people's lives, even in the smallest way. So think about that when you're interacting with just somebody at the grocery store, the cashier, somebody at a front desk, a police officer walking down the street. Just think about that. Your little smile, your little thank you can go a long way in someone's life.